We are ready and waiting for you now. If it's a fight that you dare see, we've acquired our strength through pain. No more are we pathetic and you are the reason why we claim that we've all become this way. And I regret this prison that I created for myself.
Feng shui, it be wavy. Don't touch the feng shui, you break it and you pay me. Check the feng shui, it be wavy. Don't touch the feng shui, you break it and you pay me. Pull up to my crib, show you how I live. You don't need a specialist, you just need a realist. Your presence is a gift, your presence is a gift. Pull up to my crib, let me show you how I live. Check the feng shui, check the feng shui, check the
Music is Live podcast. This is your host, Lou Mavs. Check out everything you need to know about the show over at musicisLivePodcast.com. I am beyond stoked tonight because I have my first guest from the genre of hip-hop soul. If you ask me, I think she's a future queen of hip-hop soul. And the biggest travesty is that not enough people know about her. But you're going to know about her right now because I got her on the show. She's got a brand new album out called The SpokenSoul Volume 1. I'm happy to say that this artist was brought to my attention, not just by Tony Santana of Mob Hit Records, but also from Babyghost. Babyghost was the second person to drop her name, so I said, that's it. I gotta get her on the show. We got her now, and I am very honored and very happy to present the lovely Ventage.
Yay! Thank you so much.
You must have seen some of my old episodes because I actually do have a round of applause that's waiting. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's an honor.
Completely my pleasure. I definitely wanted to prioritize this for a minute, since we first connected. So I'm very happy that we got this link up.
Definitely. We meant to meet up the week before, but unfortunately, life gets in the way. People got bills to pay. We got to do what we got to do. It is what it is. Yada, 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 and all that stuff. I am not a music critic. I'm a music fan, and I don't have any corporate sponsorships, so I could talk about whatever the hell I want on this show. Within reason, of course. However, I wanted to let everyone know that I've done a song-by-song review of the SpokenSoul Volume 1, and I'm going to read it right now. From the opening track, Feng Shui, which is a new video that has just been released. You can catch it on YouTube. I'll have the link in the description. Jazzy, hip-hop based R&B, killer opening track. Hell is Low, spoken word over music, but beautifully spoken. Patient, chorus is catchy. Music makes you move. A definite head nodder. It's a vibe. The music is very laid back and the harmonies are beautiful. Your lyrical game, Ventage, is on point as well. There's nothing cut and paste about it. It's organic and it's inviting to the listener. Mid, another spoken word track over music. Once again, the lyrical attack just grabs the listener. The pitch shift on the vocals was a nice touch, and it gives a depth to the track that seeks the attention and rightfully deserves. Dear Diary, a collaboration with Mother Wada. If I knew this was playing on the radio in heavy rotation, I would probably listen to the radio more often. Ventage can do it all when it comes to singing, rapping, and writing. Infinite, another spoken word over music, beautifully well done. Black White, this track is hard. Almost influenced by metal and hardcore, and I love the vocal attack. It does not let up. And as much as music is meant to be enjoyed by the listener, the artist deserves the agency or free will to write, record, and release whatever holds merit for them. In this case, the merit holds weight, and anyone who listens will leave enamored with the strength and vulnerability in her voice. And vulnerability is not a weakness, but a virtue, in that it allows the writer to be transparent with the audience, which in today's day and age, where everyone talks about transparency but is lying about it, Ventage is honest. And finally, I Like Ya with City James, a sonic kaleidoscope where among the samples in the songs is the strength of this young talent's voice and leaves the experience open to interpretation for the listener. As far as I'm concerned, her vocals are sheer beauty, and I'm grateful to have listened to this entire EP. My opinion, and I'm saying this as a podcast that started specifically covering metal and hardcore, but being from Queens, I grew up with metal, hardcore, punk, and hip-hop, so I do have love for it. I love soul music. Whether influenced by blues, jazz, or hip-hop, this EP has it all. all. And in my opinion, I think Ventage is a wonderful addition to the landscape of music today because she's not doing what everyone else is doing. She's standing out as an original voice and visionary. It's reminiscent of Mary J. Blige and Lauryn Hill, but the influence doesn't take over the originality of the performer slash writer. Truth is, in my opinion, Ventage is the sound of the future of hip hop soul that I'd like to see make it in the world today.
Woo! Man, your verbiage is your pen game is strong. It's real strong. And I appreciate it. It was such meditative words that you said. Like in listening to it all, like I could say it was a blessing.
I'm glad I didn't bore you. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it because a lot of the times we meet people and they say the fanciest things and things like that to you. And for whatever reason, it's, no shade to it. When a person can kind of expand on the nature of like how they're perceiving like who I am rather than what they think that it's hard to explain. It's like, it's just that vision on its own is beautiful because it's definitely a scope in like, it's different from somebody saying like, you're amazing and you're the next greatest thing. So, and I appreciate that. And it's probably because you dive into the music, which I respect. Yeah. I'm very grateful for,
well, thank you. But I need to be honest. If I didn't think the songs are everything that I just said, I wouldn't have said it. I'd have been like, yeah, it's all right. But I'm not like that. I'm very passionate about this because, like I said, this is a passion project, this podcast. I'm a musician as well. I'm sure Tony Santana has told you I play guitar. My wife's a singer-songwriter. And our daughter has a sixth sense of rhythm. I couldn't believe it when I saw her doing this. Steady beat, and she's not even 3 years old yet. I mean, I realize the name of the show itself, people hear that and probably be like, oh, that's cringy. But the truth is, for a lot of us, it is. Whether we make lucrative amounts of dollars for it or whether we're doing it because we love it, it's part of who we are and what we are. And I just want to share good music with the world, regardless of genre. So that's definitely what I got out of what I heard from it. And again, links will be in the description. So enough about my praising the album. Let's talk about you, Miss Ventage. Okay. I'd like to know, and the viewers would like to know, all 47 subscribers, hopefully more. I'd like to know, what was it that got you started in your love for music, and also who influenced your lyrical prose and attack?
I'd like to say it's in my DNA because my mom and my dad, they were both musicians. My dad played bass and piano and he sang as well. And my mom was a jazz singer and she would have the band. And she used to do shows in Seattle, Washington for the Seattle Supersonics back in the day. I just remember being really inspired by seeing my parents, or really more so my mom, live performing. That stuff I would be like, oh my gosh, I would be vulnerable. I felt like I would want to cry because I was just so inspired and so empowered by seeing my mom have so much like strength to be able to give something so it was filled with so much passion to people in a contained form. And I'm over here like, as I get older, of course, I realize that's what it was. But as a kid, I'm just like, my mom, I'm gonna cry. Like, but also I would say it started in my household, just in general. It just started in my household with my older brother. My brother, of course, came out the womb first. So he seen my mother first in action, and my dad, he used to beatboxes, rap, sings, dance, everything. And so me coming into this world, I'd seen all of that. Of course, first starting out, I was a horrible singer for like years. My mom would be like, you're off key.
Hey, don't worry, I'm still a horrible singer. I know my strengths. That's not it. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, so I've learned also too from that. But I would say, wholeheartedly, it's come from my household. I would love to say it came from Michael Jackson or Leah or some type of artist, but it definitely came from where my heart was, and it was in my household. My mom was inspired by Michael Jackson, but I didn't learn about Michael Jackson until I was like in middle school through this woman named Mariah Loretta De Leon. That was my one best friend in high school. She used to have Michael Jackson sneakers on her folder, on her binder, and she would sing different songs. And one day she gave me some DVDs, and I took them all the way back to the Echo Park and to the hood where I was at, because I was going to school in the valley, but then I lived in the hood, and I popped them in the TV, and I was just blown away, because of course you've heard the music, but then when you have the video with the music for Michael Jackson, I was blown away. And I seen a different part of music that my household didn't have, but they were inspired by, because my mom was a jazz singer and she didn't get into pop. Like, that's not like her thing, but always jazz. And so that soul is always there, but there's this like part of me that is inspired by the contrast of like calm waters. It's like, I like it when it just is ripply and jumpy and in your face type of music that you can't deny, like that the words are just, I don't know, feeding. And I realized that growing up, Michael Jackson had a lot of them songs that were very empowering or inspiring or made you really think about what was going on in this world. Alicia Keys. I would also say, like, my parents never let me listen to like rated R music, like nasty music or whatever. So I was always listening to conscious.
I never heard it referred to as rated R music, but you should trademark that.
Yeah, because it was just like, and then I knew I was wrong for trying to listen to something that was not clean. It had to be clean. My mom is my inspiration. She doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. She's the last one off the dance floor. She's the last. She's got the microphone and the band's already up, like put up their stuff. She's still on the microphone, and it's all off of just, I don't know, like this woman you can't duplicate. And for me to be her child, I'm grateful. Her name is Stormy. Yeah, she's got some music out on SoundCloud right now. Reeling it back in, I just am inspired by those who really showed their passion in their music and their heart in their music. And there's a bunch of different artists I could name that I adore musically and sonically, but it started in my house. And I would say because my parents were artists, so they were always doing shows and things like that in studios. And so I got to see it like firsthand, like, I think I want to get into doing this. At like the age of 7, I had like songs written down, dance songs. Like one of them was like jump, turn, twist, pop it like this. Like I was just making up stuff like at a young age and trying to figure out a dance that went with it. But then I love soul music, so I was trying to wail, Falling by Alicia Keys and I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston and Vision of Love by Mariah Carey. I would say like it was definitely at a young age, and mom and pops played a great part in that.
That's a beautiful story. I could relate to you on two things. It wasn't my parents that got me involved in music. It was actually my brother. And when I saw him play with the high school jazz band, because we both graduated from the same high school 12 years apart. So I was 6 when I saw him play with the high school jazz band for the senior concert. It's funny, I could name all my guitar influences, but when it comes to my biggest musical influence, I have to say that it was my brother too.
Yeah.
Because I saw him on stage and I said, that's what I want to do. And
Same.
and he made me practice every instrument that I learned, whether it was trumpet or guitar or bass, just with, tenacity and fierceness. And I just remember practicing every day, 8 hours. As soon as I got home from school, from the ages of 12 till junior year of high school, just practicing every day, just because I was just want to be as good as him. Before he passed, he told me that excuse me, sorry, I get choked up talking about family too, because it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But he said, you became better than I did. That was a big thing. So that's one thing I relate with you with. Also, the second thing is...
My condolences to your brother. It's funny because I didn't want to say it, but my brother just passed away like maybe 3 years ago. He was out here in the studios more than I could ever be and knew everyone. And like that always inspired me. My condolences, because I know and I feel you. Yeah.
Mine for you as well. But the second thing, and this is the happy thing, is Michael Jackson. Because, and please don't get blown away when I say this, but I remember when Thriller just came out and my first exposure to it was the Beat It video and hearing the guitar playing of Eddie Van Halen and thinking, Michael Jackson's the greatest thing ever. I remember thinking that as a kid. And then, the next track after that is Billie Jean. And then you move on to the other songs. It's just like, my God, he takes pop, he takes rock, he takes R&B, he takes soul, he takes everything. And he made it so fluid where it's just like, you could find something in every song that probably speaks to the one genre that you cater to the most, but it opens you up to everything else. And he was amazing at that. Such a big loss
I'd have to
when
say
we
the
lost
same.
him.
Yeah, it's such a speaker of all tongues. Like he could go in like any place and like be understood, or maybe even just idolized, worshipped. Like this guy, it was a minstrel. Like changed the atmosphere when it came to music, and that is definitely like, I feel like, what else is there to do without trying to reach a place of speaking to the world? And that could be the hardest thing, but that's what we all want. We wish we could speak Chinese, Japanese, and I'm saying like in a musical way, because music is life.
Wait. Did you just name drop the show again?
Yeah, I did.
You are awesome. Thank you. Because and Babyghost was the first artist that I had on the show that actually said the name. But you're right, it is. Think about all the music that is unleashed on the world. You know, the same artist could be heard in Canada, could be heard in, you know, Russia, could be heard in Australia, could be heard in China, could be heard in Zimbabwe, could be heard anywhere. And the song is that good, or if the artist is just that tangible in terms of, oh my God, I could be this if I put my mind to it. It's like, you know, it speaks to everybody. And that's really what it's all about. You know, I mean, too many things divide us, you know, politics or ideologies.
Exactly. I was listening to one of your interviews, a little bit of it, and you were saying like, with all that's going on in the world that we don't agree on, you would think we'd still bob our heads to the same, like some jamming music or dance, where nothing really is mattering. It's just rejoicing. It's like what the Spaniard man says, bailar, dance.
Well, first like, of all, thank you for actually watching an episode of the podcast. That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I tried to do a little homework, fresh off work. I changed my clothes real quick, but it's laundry time, so I've worn this maybe 3 times already. But God is good. It's the vintage in me. You just take the dust off and you wear it.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, that's one thing I really do thrive on and seeking to see happen within the music that I make. Like I want to speak to the greatest number of amount of people I can, which would probably be everyone if I could, you know. But what I am doing is just making music that children can listen to and older people can listen to, which means having just respect for their ear and what innocence and wisdom those have, and trying to put it together. I do believe in being able to talk to the world with your music. Why? Because we seek help in the simplest forms. We seek relief in small forms. You know, if I could have this piece of fruit and this piece of fruit, actually just give me a bowl of a bunch of different fruits so we can feel these whatever types of flavors we want in our mouth. It's the same thing with music. And if you can create music that can go over here and go over there and simultaneously be in China and Africa, and their response to it is something that is empowering, like you can see it person to person more than you can see it like in a crowd of people. I have a poem in my album. One of my friends said, you help me, he said something along the lines, defeat this mental warfare or depression. And I feel like I've never gone through depression. I don't really know what that feels like. And maybe I have, and I just, you know, just don't know. But for somebody to say that they've broken free from something that has been holding them down, or a stronghold or mental, whatever you want to call it, that makes me want to keep going. It's just like a person who heals someone like in a hospital. They're like, yes. You know, it's not like they're like, yay, when and somebody dies. Like they wish that they could keep healing, and they want to get better at healing and finding different ways to heal or save people's lives. And in every form, since we were born, we do things to save our lives. We save other people's lives. Because I'm at combat with the person who says we can't heal the world. I'm at combat with it because I do believe that the world is separate from the humans that are in it. And, you know, if we're not trying to be like the world, I do believe that people that are in the world can be saved, and they can be healed, and they can be loved, and they can listen to music that is inspiring, that makes them want to get up and go, or believe that, you know, they can live in light instead of live in darkness, and have an actual mind or soul that speaks for itself, that doesn't need anybody to try to tell you which path is your path, but that you can understand what's going on around you and still be able to speak to others and still have your own route, your own way, which is something very powerful. It's like, I was just talking to my mom the other day, and I was like, too many times we're around people and they want to like convert you into something. And like, if they don't convert you into something, it's like, yo, like, I'm a different crayon in the crayon box. Like, you can't turn me into purple if I'm yellow. Like, we can mix together, but purple will still be purple and yellow will still be yellow. We might make something different, but on our own, we'll always be what that foundation is. And I am inspired by others who are different from me. I'm inspired by that, because it's just like, you just think you are living the most exciting life, and other people are living a life too. And to be able to embrace that, or be coherent with what could be or couldn't be happening around you, is something that could help you find solutions for more than just yourself, for other people. A lot of people are saying, like, this is where innovation comes from. It's just finding out solutions that, you know, what is making people go crazy? Why can't they find out an easy way to get rid of a thought that they just keep thinking all day? You know, why? And so we need to figure out what we can do as human beings, because man is for man. You know, the lions are for lions. They're with the lions. The whales and all the fishes is in the ocean, and man is on land. And we're for each other. We know this. And although we do speak different languages, we all still have one language, and that's human nature. We're all human. I can go on a rant sometimes, because Vintage, I can talk a lot, and, you know, just finding a way to contain that could be a little bit hard, because there's a lot that deserves to be spoken on, you know, but, you know.
I am not here to put any constraints on you. I think everything that you said was beautiful. I think it was valid. I think we're living in a crazy time where everyone wants to talk, nobody wants to listen. And I feel as though you're breaking barriers by just being yourself, you know? And I think that's a wonderful thing. So don't,
And
please,
you too,
for
my
the
friend.
love of God, don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
And you too. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Like, we live in this body, and like, we all like just see things differently. That's freaking crazy dope. Like, we can build the most majestic things. There is a lot that goes on in the world. So how can you counteract just a little bit, you know? And I'm talking to myself, because I think about that a lot. You know, you'll hang out with your friends and then like tell you, you know, what's irritating them or what's bothering them. And I'm open to it. You know, there's certain people that aren't open to listening to others speak about those things, but I do notice what bothers people a lot. And I'm like, if we could just get rid of these things, you know, confronting what is happening and finding a real solution would just be right. But it's a person to person thing. It's hard to just throw a person, like, let's say, like in a Buddhist temple, and they're coherent with everything. It's going to take time, but that takes nurturing, takes one-on-one time to be able to grow. It's just like you were able to have that one-on-oneness to see your brother. It didn't take nobody to show for you there. You've seen it. And same thing with Michael Jackson. And I think that it really does come back to us all the time. But I do like to try to make things easier with music, of course, because I'm like, pick yourself up. You can do it. You're the shit. Keep swinging. You know, I don't want to die in darkness, die weak. I want to die in a swing. I want to die strong. It's like when you see somebody who fought to the end, that you can't say that that's not going to inspire other generations to really fight. It's like what our ancestors did in the past. We should be inspired by, like, they threw the stone and we caught it. Now it's like our turn, because what they did was crazy powerful. Things they built, things they said, the quotes, the things they invented, and we here. It's our turn. It's all, every day is our turn. So, and we like, what was they doing back then? Doing the same thing we doing today. What you think? The days went faster? It's just is what it is. The sun came, the moon came. They up and they working. They down and they sleeping. You know, and the work could be whatever you want to call it.
I love your positive attitude. And I think from the bullshit that we've been dealing with the last 15 months, and I say that because, you know, the lack of human interaction, the lack of human empathy, the lack of being able to relate to each other as people. I almost want to say that I feel as though it's hindered us as a society, but speaking truth to what you just said before, there's always that one glimmer of hope where it's like, if you could find something with someone different from you in general, if you could find that one thing and relate to it and say, hey, this person's not as bad as I perceive them to be because we didn't speak about this subject. It could be whatever, we'll say music since that's the primary reason why we're here.
Yeah.
And if they could relate to each other on that, if they could build a foundation, build a relationship, build a camaraderie, that's what we as people who sing or play, that's just what we want to do. Make you forget about what's going on so you realize, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is, with all the negative crap that's going on in the world, are you living your best positive life?
Yeah.
You being of the age that you are, where I can't even imagine what you've seen. I mean, I've seen stuff too, but the truth is that we're still here. You're right. Might as well make the best of the time that you have.
Yeah. We don't have shit to lose. Sorry for cursing.
Don't worry about the cursing. It's all good.
I was listening to this guy speaking online. I like to listen to a lot of inspirational things nowadays, or sermons or whatever. Like, I just like to listen to people speak about whatever they're into. He was saying, like, when you think about the consequence of not doing something and then the consequence of actually doing something, if you don't do it at all, that might be like 5,000 days or whatever. Or let's say like you live to be 100 and then you don't do it at all, right? And all those times you didn't do it, and then like when you were like, I want to try to do it, you at least exceeded to go so far, even though you had days that you didn't do it. Like, it's just like when you think about the consequence of dying, I would say when you lose someone that you love, you look at death differently. And at least that was the experience or testimony that I had, was I look at life and death differently. Like, you have to really grab yourself and shake yourself sometimes and be like, yo, I'm gonna do this with quality and quantity. And what these people are saying nowadays, manifest. I'm gonna manifest. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna eat. I might not eat properly every day, but I can't be my biggest bully, because life's already gonna do that. Life's already gonna throw negative shit at you, and then by the time you get halfway there, you either gonna want to be built off your strength of being able to endure the bullshit and create still, or you're gonna be filled with the agony that life has been trying to accuse you with and let you lead yourself with, and to other people. We don't need that anymore. We need people who are leaders, and that's all we are. We're all leaders.
Yeah.
And we shut that voice down. We shut that voice down, and we're like, I don't want to say nothing, but you could have told that bully or whoever to cut it out. You could have had the conversation, and it really was going to be, it really had to take your words. And sometimes I take that to heart too, because I'm like, nothing happens for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm having a conversation with you and it's happening this way, it's for a purpose. There's somebody that's listening to this and they're really trying to tap in and to maybe trying to change or be who they are. And that's powerful. I can't harp on that.
It's funny. You just mentioned the leadership thing. I had this conversation with someone at my job, and they were speaking about someone, and they said, you know what? Like, they need to be an example. They need to be a leader. And I just kind of looked at the guy and I said, why don't you become your own leader? Why do you have to leave it to someone else to make you want to do something outside of what you normally do? Yeah. Why can't you step up and be your own leader and you be the example for other people? Yeah. So
that's true. I remember, I'll tell you this.
Go ahead.
I used to do trash pickups, and I used to be so into cleaning the city. This was like 2014. I used to throw street cleanups because I wanted to clean the planet and things like that. And especially in my neighborhood particularly. And so I was like, well, if I can get a bunch of my friends to come, then we can clean up the neighborhood. So I put out a flyer, and like 2 people came. We didn't really clean as much as we wanted to clean, but I was like, yo, my mental was just like, well, nobody wants to clean. I'm just not going to do this then. Because I was like, yo, I think people should be aware that like stuff should get clean. But then I was like, I gave myself a break for like some time, because I was doing that I did that a few times, and I got that same kind of result. And I was like, I had like mental warfare. I was literally like, I don't want to do this. I feel like nobody cares, and I have to grow. There are things that people have to grow and develop out of. You can't just like feel like you could just grab a bunch of people together who are going to be on the same page and clean up the streets. Like, I need to grow and develop a point where if nobody comes, I'm still going to do what I desire or wanted to do. That was basically the point. It's just not really trying to do righteous things in front of everybody or have a bunch of people that are just apart. Like, if it's something that you want to do, it will come. That group of people, the right group of people will come, and you just keep promoting and you keep doing your thing. And even the 2 people, it was, grace for those people that came. And but I do know, like, people like more exciting things. They don't want to just come pick up trash. They want to listen to some music. So I have a new idea on trying to gather people together and do a street cleanup with like a jam at the end with the band. So yeah.
It's not a matter of if they don't enjoy the music, you're not going to throw garbage at them then.
Yep.
Okay, good. Though sometimes we wish we could.
Fact.
But speaking of new music, just want to touch up on the album, The Spoken Soul Volume 1. As I mentioned before, I absolutely loved it. How was the recording process with this? And I think you and I had a conversation about this on Instagram where you were praising your team, especially Chris Ray, who you said was part of your production team. What was the process for you to release this record?
Well, we released it first in December on our own, and then we ended up getting a distribution deal after, and we released it again like this year with the distribution platform behind us. So there was a lot of administrative work that we had to do to send over our music and numbers and things like that, digital marketing tools and stuff like that we were learning about. But before any of that, the recording process is definitely great. For about 3 years, every Monday I'm there recording, making new music, or I'll come on another day and create with other artists there. But I would say I'm thankful because I've been in a lot of different studios where I wasn't being met in a place where, like, I wanted to share myself and I wanted to see if they would share something new. I wanted to examine the atmosphere that I was in and like create something that went with that, like trying to speak in their language, but meeting them in my language somehow. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but
I get it. I totally get it. Don't worry.
Meeting Chris Ray, he definitely has made my sounds. He knows how to record me, lets me freestyle. A lot of the songs we freestyled, or they were just off the whim. We made them from scratch in the studio. We'd be in there for maybe 3 hours, and then we'd have the rough of the song. We'd be jamming, and sooner or later we just developed a large repertoire of music, just coming in every Monday and trying to see what vibe we were on. Sometimes we'd link up and we'd just talk for hours. The reason why I was even inside of the studio is because of Dave Koresh, which is Chris Ray's partner that is a part of this music production house called 1245. And 1245 was presented to me through Dave Koresh, and he was like, come through to the studio, we'd love to have you. And this was like the first time I ever was gonna go, and this was like literally right after my brother's passing. And so I was like, I'm just trying to open up and go somewhere new. And I've been putting off going to studios for like years. This one in particular for like a year and a half. Dave had been hitting me up for like a year and a half. And then I finally responded because I'd been in such a up and down with different studios that when I stepped out, I was like, I'm just going to take it for what it is and create and do it anyway, because I'm either going to do it or not. So I went and we made our first song called Plenty. And then after that, we made I Like Ya. And then after that, we made Feng Shui. And this was like 3 years ago. We made these records. And
that's the best track you could have had to open up the album, by the way.
And so like we were like, how should we release these songs? I was like, probably in order, because like back to back there was a vibe in each season that was going on. So we just kind of like tried to correlate like how if I came in January and made whatever amount of songs, we're gonna go from the top and we're gonna try to release to the bottom, because it was like every week I was going in there and there was gonna be a new vibe. I definitely was excited because Dave and Chris Ray see a lot in me, and I definitely embrace that. And sometimes I'm like, they're like a gym trainer. They're like a trainer. They'll really get on my ass. Like back when I was really smoking, they're like, you need to stop fucking smoking. It's gonna fuck with your lungs. They're like, you need to I was running. Chris had me running like a mile with him one day. He was like, oh, we just gonna go around here and go around here. I tell you, I almost died. I was like, I'm not not even fit for this.
Oh man.
because of smoking, so but you have to learn how to breathe. So and when it comes to singing, running, things like that, and treating your lungs, you got to treat your lungs properly. So I had to definitely get myself together a few times in the studio, or they had to scruffle me up a little bit, because preparedness is key. And it's just like, you can get the phone call and you'll be ready, and instead of, I need some tea, I need some this, I'm gonna make you 15-20 minutes late. They're like, oh, we can't even get you in no more because you're late. We have tea here.
There you go.
So little things like that. But
one thing I want to say about the album's production, and I'm sure this was by design, but with the way music is produced right now, a lot of it is made, via computer, with keyboards, with programs, with plugins.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, the instruments sound organic. Like, it doesn't sound like it was made in the year 2021 or 2020. It sounds like, vintage instruments that one would find on a soul record from the 70s. And whoever did that deserves mad praise.
Yeah.
That's stuff that we all grew up on.
These two producers, because they were the only ones who produced the music, Dave Koresh and Chris Ray, were completely touched by God, because I'll listen to, they work with other artists, and the sound that they create is completely different. It's completely different. And then I'll get a beat or something that they created, or maybe they'll make it right there, and it's a whole nother sound. And I commend them. I don't know how they do it, but they know how to make room for you as a human, as an artist, to where if you're trying to make a country record, they're going to meet you there, in the way that you're seeing it. And it's, that's definitely a blessing, because one thing Chris Ray said is he prayed to be able to help people, help others through music. And that's one thing I definitely love doing, is being able to help people. And I definitely have seen him help me be able to find myself, my sound, my own voice. Because for so many years, I even think artists and singers today think that they have to sing in a certain type of way, or they have to be a certain look, a certain type of way. And your voice is your own voice. No one has your voice. And I think it's just another way to suppress man from being themselves, or saying, or speaking, or singing, or however you sing. I think it's just about finding your voice and really strengthening that over time. It's not about trying to sound like James Brown. Your voice is going to be yours. You know what I'm saying? And when your voice comes, it will be recognized just like the other greats, just like the other people who speak. So
with that statement, how far do you want to take this, Vintage? Because I would love to see you take it all the way to the end. I really would. But it's all up to you. What are your goals and aspirations? Headline Madison Square Garden? I'll buy first row ticket. Definitely going on tour, creating with new artists, friends. I have a lot of amazing friends I would love to create with, innovate. I have some inventions, of course, I'd love to bring into reality. And I also I have this, the brand or the genre is called SpokenSoul, and SpokenSoul is elemental, like hip hop. So it has 5 elements, and the elements in SpokenSoul is music, fashion, entrepreneurs, humanitarians, and innovators. And I've created this genre because, it was definitely all 5 pillars I felt like I would love to live by, and be able to speak through them and not be identified as anything blasphemous. This could be something industrious. It'll be something empowering. It's something creative. It's something planting a seed. And I really want it to be like a corporation, a huge corporation one day that's 20 floors with 20 different elements that have to do with those 5, or 25 different elements, floors that have to do with those elements, and expanding the curriculums that we're learning. There are so many of us who would rather just be able to see our own white canvas and paint our own pictures, but having the right foundation and the right people prepared for that around is good. It's just if we go to a school and they're just not prepared for arts, okay, we have to prepare for it. We have to create buildings and platforms and raise money and things like that for, and I don't even want to say raise money, because I really feel like it comes down to just getting creative Yeah, well, it's like anything that, for anything to be built from the ground up, it needs foundation. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to be a part of performing arts growing up. And, they wanted you to have immaculate grades. But when I go from Ventura County to LA County and transfer my credits, the credit system is different. They have you doing way more classes and putting in way more work. So trying to transfer schools is different. That you're going to have to pay to go to, the Einstein, whatever middle school or, high school that you wanted to go to because you don't have enough credits. But the school that you went to in Ventura, they had arts and crafts. You had good grades. I had machine class. I had a woodshop class. I had a sewing class. I was taking a driver's ed class. I was on the dance team. And then there was like a hip hop dance team and a Black student union and all these crazy banana awesome clubs and stuff. Then you come to LA and they put me in a school in a hospital on Manchester Boulevard called Animo Inglewood Charter. And it was the only school I could get into, but I had to work really hard to graduate from that school and in Los Angeles. But I did it thanks to the teachers there.
And you definitely earned your spot in life right now. Oh my goodness. That's insane. One thing I want to do though, before we wrap this up, I definitely want to let everyone know again that your album, The Spoken Soul Volume 1, is now available on all streaming media platforms. Also, she mentioned before about future collaborations. Check out some of the collaborations that she has right now. There's a track out that she did with Tony Santana of Mob Hit Records called Taking a Meditation. And I just want to do a quick review of this song too. Holy shit, you can mosh to this. And I love it. The lyrics hit me because I'd be remiss to admit that we're living in a tumultuous time where we people may not be seeing eye to eye, but this song doesn't pander to one side or the other. Instead, it seems like you, Vintage, are channeling the voice of the person who wants to live a life of kindness and positivity, but is torn between conflicting sides that are not listening to each other, which again is pretty much what we were discussing before. What a segue. In the end, the character in the song succeeds because they use their rage and anger to say, I will rise above this, but stay out of my way, which again is what I loved about a lot of underground hardcore, metal, and hip hop in the 90s. True artists who told a story. You tell the story, and we as the listeners, especially me, who considers himself a fan and a friend, I say thank you.
Thank you.
Check out The Spoken Soul Volume 1 and check out her other track with Tony Santana, Taking a Meditation. How did you strike up a friendship with Mr. Tony Santana, by the way? Because again, he was the one who recommended you to me first, and as I mentioned, Babyghost just said, no, get her on.
Yeah, I met Tony through Day One. I have some awesome friends. I'm very grateful. Day One was like, we're going to go to a studio. So we pull up somewhere in the hills where there's like mansions, and this guy with cut off sleeves comes outside and he's saying goodbye to everybody. He's like, I love you guys. I love you. I love you. And that was Tony. And Tony gets in the car and we drive to some other place really far, like in the hills or whatever. And we're on the way there. We're just having, cool conversation, chill. We're chilling. By the time we get to the studio, this guy pulls out his guitar. He's on the piano playing crazy shit on the piano. Then he's on the guitar. Then he's on the bass. Then he goes in the studio and he gets on the drums that we have in there. And I'm like blown away. So I was hella inspired. And Day One, he threw on some other drums. We had conversations about, what we wanted it to be about. We were like, it's a war. We're like, it's a war. And, then moments later, Tony, he was like, get in there, get in the booth. And, it was grace meeting him, to be honest. So much light in him and energy that is good, for the purpose of overcoming darkness inside and out. And he was just like, get in the studio. They let me get in the studio. I spit some of what I wrote. And then really, that song is 10 minutes long. I freestyled for 10 minutes and they just let me go in there wild. And it was amazing. It was so much energy in the room.
One take, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
That's
10.
sick.
And then so we're chopping. Then on the other end, I come out and they're chopping up just 1 minute. They're chopping up just 1 minute. And then they're throwing the hook there, right? And they're like, oh, V, this is really all we needed. But it's crazy. Like, this was like 10 minutes of just rapping, singing, rapping, whatever you want to call it. So rapping.
Well, and I'm glad that they let you free for 10 minutes because that was friggin' awesome.
It
So-
was the edge. It was definitely the foundation they had when they went in there. They were not, there's one thing about Tony is he's not fucking around when we get in the studio. Like, we're about to change the world. We're about to do something that's going to be brand new. And he might not say it. Like, if we make a song that might not make it, he's probably not going to say anything, but he's not going to let that shit do anything. We're gonna make another record tomorrow and it's gonna be a fucking hit. And then you'll be like, he sends you the beat, you make the record, he puts it out. Dude is like a rock big brother to me. But even more than that, he's a really great friend.
Yes.
And blood could make us any closer, or music could make us any closer. I would say that.
Well, I can't be any more grateful to him, especially I've known him for almost 20 years at this point. And he's been just throwing me such wonderful talent. People such as Babyghost, I had Beezy Boy on the show just before. I had Chris from Human Barbie as well. And, just people that he's working with, people that he's turning me on to. And again, this podcast started just basically talking about my love for metal and hardcore music and my life as a musician. I'm really glad that I made it a platform where it's more than that, where it's like, instead of just regurgitating what you hear and see in the mainstream, I'm trying to expose people to new artists that I think are creating valid work that needs to be heard. And this was beyond of an honor for me to have you, the future queen of hip hop soul, or as you call it, spoken soul, Ms. Ventage.
Yes.
I'm incredibly honored. Where can the people find you if they like to know more about you?
Well, find me on the Music is Life podcast.
Right, stop that. Silly.
Another day, another try, maybe sometime soon again. Or you'll find me on Instagram, Ventage1245. You can also stream my music on any digital platform under Ventage, or type in the SpokenSoul. On my Instagram, you can also visit the link in my bio, and my link tree is there to visit my website called the Ventage the Spoken Soul. Yeah, you guys tap in. I would love to have another go around with you on this Music is Life thing.
Please consider this an open invitation to come back anytime you want.
When I come to the East Coast, I'm gonna hit you up.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you've made a fan for life out of me. So thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It means the world to me. God bless. Thank you.
Peace and love.
If you want to learn more about the Music is Life podcast, check us out over at musicislifepodcast.com. Also check out our parent network, ratsireview.com, because we're part of the Ratsai Review Network. Check out some of the other podcasts that are on the show as well, including Beyond Bushido, a pro wrestling and MMA podcast hosted by James and EA. Also check out The Right Opinion with Harrison Bergeron. Check out Vieira Vault with Ralph Vieira from Combat and Thrash or Die, also the Rock and Metal Combat podcast. And also check out Old Man Metal's Musing. That's a tongue twister, that one.
Wait for it.
Vintage, I apologize for saying this in advance, but it helps to get a reaction. Also check out our South Park podcast, Suck My Balls. I couldn't say that with a straight face. Suck My Balls, the South Park podcast. Oh my God. That's the first time I ever broke laughing to that. Anyways, Vintage, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Be safe, be well, and God bless, and kick some ass.
God bless you too. Peace, brother.
And remember, all art is valid. Have a good night.